Today we will talk about how we can read the properties from the property file, and I will show you the normal property file plus how we can do using the secure properties file. And second, I will talk about for each loop. And if we get the time, I will explain you parallel for each also. So let's start first with how to read the properties from the property file. Okay, so we can read it like there is a normal property file and we can do it by secure property files also. So there are two options. So secure property file, as name is already defining that we need to secure the properties. Okay. And normal means like normal, you are just adding the property and you are reading it in your API in your application. Okay. So for that, for normal property file and secure property files, we will use two types of files, YAML file and normal property file. So I will show you it during the demo. But before that, I want to explain you what is the YAML file. Okay, so generally people use like normal property files when they add the properties, but the best practice is if you can use the YAML files. So YAML full form is yet another markup language. So it is a data serialization language, and one of the most common use for YAML is to create the configurations files. And today I will show you that only. So uh, by using YAML, we will create a configuration file. So YAML is having their it's all syntax, but it's very simple. You just need to keep in mind some small things, and I will recommend like it's recommended that configuration files will be written in YAML rather than JSON. Why? Because the benefit of using YAML is that YAML files can be added to source control such as GitHub so that changes can be tracked and audited. And also YAML file, there are other factors also like YAML Kubernetes. When we talk about the Kubernetes, so there also we use like YAML files only. Okay, so in like one more thing is there, YAML have better readability and is more user friendly. So that's why we recommend to use YAML files when you are creating a configuration. Like while creating configuration files, use YAML. So that is the recommendation. So let's see using the demo. I will demonstrate it by creating a normal application. So this is the application that we were using yesterday while showing you the lookup and lookup function. Okay, so I will add everything here. It's already having a property file. So I will delete this one. Just copy this property and I will delete this file. Okay, and now the configurations. Okay. So this is our simple application. First, I will show you how we read the property from how we define the property file and how we read the properties in our application. So what you need to do in the normal procedure, you first create a like a configuration, create configuration properties like here, just go to create. This is the global elements in your normal XML file. There is the three options configuration XML that you can edit by your own if you don't want to work with the flows. And this is the global elements where you can define your global configurations. You can define the global configurations here, and those whatever configurations you will define in the global elements, that you can see in the configuration XML like this. So if you see, I have declared only one HTTP listener config. So in a configuration file, it is like this. So on the top, after all XML schemas, after all XML namespaces, you will see those global configuration properties. Okay, and after that, your normal flows will start. Right. So if you know how to create a configurations and all, if you know the syntaxes, then you can create that directly. But don't forget to add XML namespaces, because if you know the syntaxes you create, sometimes developers create it, but when they run it, it will show you some reference errors. Why that error will come? Because when you declare any configuration, for that you need to define a XML namespace also in the top of the XML file. Okay, so that is one thing. And now go back to global elements. Message flow is for the flow. So global element create directly here, and here I need to, like, I will say configuration. If you see configuration properties, and there is one more I will show you again. Configuration and configuration properties and global properties, all under global configurations. Okay, if you open this configuration properties, so reference a file with configuration properties. Each property has a key and value. They can be referred from the mule. So we need to define that file here. And now I will show you another one, configuration. Use this element to specify defaults and general settings for the mule instance. So like you have global handler, like a common global handler for your application that you can define here. You will declare it, and like this I have already covered during the exception handling class. All right. So this configuration we use for that. But another configuration that is under same configuration properties. Configuration properties we use for the our configuration files. So here, like I want to define a normal file like local dot properties. Okay, so this I have defined. So now I need to create under the src main resources, whatever properties file will be, it will be always under this folder. Src main resources. Just right click on this, new, and then just a file, and create a file local dot properties. If you want to create it inside a folder, again a new folder, then you have to give that folder name like uh, test slash. So it will create a folder under src main resources test and inside that local properties. But we define the configuration property here with name local properties. We did not give any folder structure. So that's why just local property, just finish it. It is creating this, and now we add a property http.port equal to 8081. So this is the normal property. Whatever property you will define, it will be separate, like key. It's is left hand side will be key, and right hand side of the equal to will be your value. So now I want to read this http port 801 into our application. So this I'm telling about the simple property files. Okay, so now go back to your flow. Now in http listener, we are using http listener. In http listener, I want to read that property http.port. So if you added the configuration of listener, so here I'm just giving, earlier it was like 8081, but now I want to give I want to read it from the property file. So to read from the property file, the syntax is dollar curly brackets dollar sign then curly bracket. Inside the curly bracket, you need to give the property name, the left hand side value. I will show you again. Just click OK. This key value, this key you need to give http.port. So in hello world, go back to listener config, and I'm giving the same dollar curly bracket http.port. So that is like this. We read the property http port from the property file. Okay, this is the simple one. This is the simple property file that we are reading. Once I will execute this, and then we'll move to the next one. Okay, so let's deploy this project. So go back to message flow. I will show you in the debug mode. One moment, I'm just using some test flow here. Okay, no issues. I will do one thing. I will just delete this flow and delete this one. I'll just add a simple payload. Okay, and this will save. One moment. So now debug configurations, and we need to run the hello world station. So we clicked on hello world station, clear application data, always, it should be always, and just debug. Always means if anything in the cache or something, it will delete and it will be like a fresh deployment. So once it will build and deploy, then we will execute it. Now, in the meantime, create a postman, like a postman request. So this is a REST line. So our URL is HTTP localhost 80181 is port and test is our path. So all those things we have defined in our HTTP listener. That I have already covered how these things comes up when I was explaining the HTTP listener in previous classes. So it will deploy and then we'll hit. We have kept the debug point just to show you something. First, in HTTP listener, we are reading the property from property file. So it will execute successfully because we are sending a local like port number 8081 and port number 8081 in the HTTP listener to understand or to listen on this port. In the HTTP listener, we are reading it from the property file. If it will read successfully, then it will execute properly. Otherwise, it will give us an error. So let's see. It's initializing Hello World Station API, and then it will start. So just wait. It's deployed. Clear the console. This is the shortcut to clear the console. And now go back to REST client. Click hit the API. If you see, it's successfully reading the property from property file. Okay, so now it's executing successfully. If I execute it, just click on F8, it will go to next debug point, and here it is setting our payload that was in the transfer message and now come out. Press F8 or F6, it will come out. So if you see, we are getting this response. Now I want to show you error. So first, I will show you the different port because port value is 8081, but I am hitting with 8082. So let's see. First, because with 8082, there is no API is defined. So that's why it is reading, but if we are passing 8082, that is not a correct value. So that's why it is not allowing us to enter into the API. So we will get this error. Now 8081. Save it. Oh, sorry. Just hit it again. I will show you now. We are reading the property file here in the HTTP listener config like this in any connector. But if I want to read the property file into the data view, then how we will read the property files? Okay, so for that, what we need to do? So it's a simple one. For that, what we need to do, just I will show you because data view expression language that we can test in our evaluator, that is evaluate data view expression. So instead of writing or saving into the or running the program API again, I will show you here. So here what we will do, we will use p function and here http dot port evaluate. So if you see, it is executing, it is reading the property from the property file, and property is the key is http.port and its value is 8081. So to read the property in data weave, we use p function, but to read the property in any component like logger or like http listener or somewhere else other than transform message, then we use $sign and curly bracket, dollar and curly bracket like this, and there is no single quotes, dollar curly bracket and just a key name. There will be no single quotes, nothing. In MCD level 1 exam, they confuse you by giving the slash, the single quotes here or double quotes here. Okay, but don't get confused. This is a simple syntax, dollar, then curly bracket start, then your key name, and then curly bracket close. So it's a pretty simple one. So like this, you read the property in any component, but in our data weave or in our transform message, we use p function, and in the p function, we don't use curly bracket. We use the simple brackets. Okay, and inside that we need to use single quotes, and in single quotes, we give our property name http.port, and like this, we will be able to. Okay, sorry, it's my bad. http dot port and evaluate, it will read the property. That's a pretty simple one. To read the property in the transform message or to read the property in our other components. So what's the use of reading the properties from property file? You know, if we are using so many, like if we are using some connectors, okay, and all these connectors have some common configurations. For example, some URL is common. Okay, so we don't need to define every time that URL in every connector hard by statically. We can define it dynamically. And if in future, if any change happens, so we don't need to go to the API code and change that. We just directly can go to the local property, like whatever property file is there. Inside that, whatever property is there, we can change its value. So it's a pretty simple. We don't need to, we don't need to touch the actual implementation. We just, because in actual implementation, we are just using the key. uh, so we can easily can change the value, right? But if there is any change in the key, then definitely you have to go back to your implementation, and there you need to change the key. Like HTTP port, if key change or something, like we have added http.port2 in the property file, so you need to change it here. Okay, so like that, that's why we define the properties in the property files. Okay, so this is the one. Now the thing is, you need to deploy your API on different environments like dev environment, QA stage, pre-prod, prod, like that. So what you need to do every time when you will deploy, if you have a single property file, so first you deploy on dev, then all the properties will be here related to dev environment. Now want to deploy your API on QA, then again you will change it. So instead of doing that, what we will do, we will create a separate property files. Like I will create one more here, like file, and here I will say demo. I will give the name demo hyphen dev dot property properties. So this will be for the dev environment. Now create one more for the prod. Okay, so here we'll give prod dot properties. So now we have two. So in each one we have this, and in dev I will do like 8082, and in prod I will, for example, I will give like 7071, and local properties 8081. Okay, so in each property file we have different ports. The port value is different. Okay, so now we defined each property the same key with different values. So we don't need to change anything in our API, because in API we are just reading the key, and key is the same in each property file. Now when I will deploy it, I want to deploy on dev, right? So every time we need to give a reference to our application that we want to read the dev property file. Currently, if you go to hello world, if you go to global elements, the configuration properties, you are reading just local properties file. But now we want to read based on our environment. Okay, so for that, what we need to do, we need to define this, like I will show you. I will change it. Our property name is demo hyphen. This time I will read the environment, the like demo hyphen dev, demo hyphen prod, demo hyphen something other environment name. So every time only environment is getting changed. So what I can do, I can make it dynamically. I can change it earlier, like if I will give just dev dot properties. So it will be same like local dot properties, but I want to give it a dynamically. Whenever your deployment environment will get changed, it will read it accordingly, the property, and will use that property file. So what I will do, I will read the property separately for that. And here I can say like environment, demo environment dot properties. So just save it. Now I have defined that a dollar environment, but that also I need it I need to read that, right? So for that, what we will do, we will define it in our, like sometimes if you are using CI/CD. So in CI/CD in your DevOps scripts, you define that property. So from the scripts automatically it will get read and it will deploy, it will use your property files. But here like it's on local. For on local, I will define it. So for that, it's pretty simple. Let me show you that. I want to use demo dev. So when you will deploy it, debug configuration, just first stop the application, stop this. Okay. And first I will just debug directly. So at the moment, because I want to read dollar environment, this property, this key should be there. Then only it will understand which property file I need to read. If I don't give it, I am not mentioning anywhere the environment key. So what will happen? You will get a error during the deployment. I will show you what will be the error when we will deploy this. So I'll make the console bigger. And one most important thing, mostly developers asking the problems on helper forum or in our Telegram group without reading the console. Sometimes when you get the error, just go through the console, you will get more idea where your code is actually failing, right? So if you see it failed, but why it's failed, so just go through the console. Wherever you see, okay, this is error. So here just read this thoroughly and you will get the idea what exactly is happening. So if you see, could not find configuration property value for key dollar environment from properties provider environment properties provider. Okay, so this is not getting resolved. $env. We are not passing this property. So what you need to do for that? So just terminate it. We will start it again. So on local, what you need to do when you deploy your application debug config, just go to your arguments and here what you need to do. Instead of program arguments, just go to environment arguments and here just give the property. Oh, sorry. uh, what we say, it's env equals to dev. Okay, so like that you can define your uh, i- property file. It's a simple one, or you can, I think it's not like this. I think it will use minus m. Let's see, minus m minus t and then just environment dev. Like this. Okay, so apply and debug, and this time we'll see. Okay. So we'll see this time it will read the property or not, because we are providing it during in our runtime, like during our deployment. So in the runtime configurations, we are providing the property. So let's see what will happen. This initializing starting, and let's see. Just I make the console bigger, easy to read. Okay, it's initializing. It will start. Okay, if you see this time it's deployed, it means it is reading the property. It's able to understand from where which property file I need to pick. So it's pretty simple one. Okay, so like that we need to pass the property, because if you will pass the same property into our property files, so then how it is not understanding which property file I need to give. So if the requirement or somewhere it's some mistakes. Sometimes designers or some people, they do the mistakes. If you are a beginner, what you do, you create a separate common dot property file. In that common dot property file, you give that property, but it's not correct, right? So like this, you need to define. Always it should not be in your code. It should be somewhere in your DevOps script or in your runtime manager properties. Okay. So if you will create another like local properties file, inside that you want to give a property env is equal to dev or like env something. So all you have, and then again in hello world, you need to define one more configuration that will there you will one global property where you will define environment as dev. So it will read the property from there. Okay. And also if you want to read this local property file also, so you need to create one more configuration properties and you need to define the local properties. So like that, it will read from local properties or will read from the global property. But you should not do that. Always do create a configuration properties, and whatever your naming conventions for the properties file, create according to that. And for the environment, just give like this. And this property env, create it somewhere, or whatever property name you want, whatever key name you want to give that key name and define it in your runtime properties. Okay. So this is the simple one we have done. So now we have given the property for dev environment. So in that we have 8082. Now I will hit the API first with 8081 and let's see what happens. So with 80181 we are getting could not send a request, because if you see, it is not allowing us to enter because it is reading from port file and port is 8082. Now I will change it to 8082 and let's see. And this time it is allowing and it is reading the property from dev property file, and that is our 8082, and that's why it is entering into the API. So this is pretty simple, how we define the properties, how we read the properties from the property file. So this was the normal procedure, but now I will show you the secure properties. So before starting with the secure properties, what you need to do, sometimes when you are a new, installed a new Anypoint Studio, so you will not get any what we say some features like because with to execute secure property process means to secure your property, you need secure properties placeholder. You need a secure property placeholder. So as name suggests, it is like a level of security on your properties or your data of your MuleSoft application. Okay. So to manage this private data efficiently, we need to use secure property placeholder. So if you search here secure property, secure property placeholder. Oh, sorry. So it's not there. Okay. So for that, what you need to do? Or one moment. Sorry, I was searching at wrong place. It will not be in mule palette because it's a global element. So just go and create and just search here secure. Secure properties. So it is not there. And like this also you can search or just delete it as and go to global configuration. So there is also no secure properties. So what you need for that, just go to help, install new software. Just go to help of Anypoint Studio and go to install new software. And here you need to add secure plugin. There will be a plugin for that you need to add. So it's a pretty simple, go to that and there in the URL work with, here sometime it shows secure something. Okay, here update site, this one security update site. So this you need to select, and then once you select it, enter, then it will show you name of all those things. Okay, so here it's showing you all the premium ones. So in this premium ones, Mule Studio property file editor, you need to select this one, not any other things are for different region. But here for secure property placeholder, you need to click on Mule Studio properties file editor. Just click on it. It's simply like in software installation. Just click on next. and then it will ask you a license agreement to accept. And this one, the next, accept the license, and then finish. So a pretty simple one. And now warning, install unsigned software which is authentically, yes, install anyway. And this one, accept. So if you see in right hand side corner down below at the Anypoint Studio, installing software, and it is in the progress. If you see here, the green line is coming. So installing software 56%. Once it is 100%, I think it should ask to restart the Anypoint Studio to apply the changes. So we will restart. So if you see, restart Anypoint Studio to apply the software updates. So restart now. And once it will restart, we will get the secure property placeholder, and that we will use to secure our properties. Like we will secure properties means we will encrypt, we will apply some kind of appropriate, we will apply one appropriate encryption. So it will not be a plain text. Currently it was a plain text like 8081. The value was in plain text, but I don't want to give it as a plain text. I want to keep a security over there. I want to encrypt it. So for that, we will use secure property placeholder. So once it will start, I'll show you it's getting restart. So currently we were using configuration properties, but now there will be another configuration that will be secure properties config. So that there we need to define that configuration we need to define. It is taking some time. Let me go to the folders. I will start it directly. Okay, it is still in starting mode. I'm using another screen, so I cannot move it on this screen because it's a kind of stable pop-up. So it is loading, and then I will show you. So I have shown you this part, normal property file, and now we'll show you secure property file. So, and then third one will be by using YAML file. So three things are there. I will cover that. So it's open now. Now let's go to Hello World, Global Elements, Hello World Station API, Global Elements. It's still the tooling instance is in running mode. Once it's done, then we will be able to see. Sometimes interviewer ask you like, have you done like how you define secure properties in your project? So whatever I'm explaining in the same way, you need to explain. Like you create a global elements, and then you do like if environment wise you need to read, then you will define uh, like you will read a property during the runtime. And if you don't want to read the property environment wise, then you will create one more configuration. In that you will give the name of the property file directly. So it's a pretty simple one. It's a little bit slow. There's so many things is running in the background in my system. Okay, now I think it's working. Okay, so now go to global elements, now go to create and then just search secure. Oh, still it's not showing like this. Global, why it's not showing? This strange. Okay, something weird. Actually, it should. Okay, I think some problem here. So if you like I'm facing, if you cannot see the secure configuration property option like this, so what you need to do, just close it, go to mule palette here, and in mule palette you need to click on search on exchange, and here you need to add your account. Okay, I have used earlier username MuleSoft Station, but it is expired, so I need to create a new one. Just configure, add and endpoint platform. So here I will connect with my Anypoint platform. So here I will just copy paste the credentials like this, and then my password, sign in. And then exchange, it's connected with my Anypoint platform. And now just search SCCURE, secure, and enter. So it's searching for secure. And here you will get Mule secure configuration. So click on this, click on add, it will add on right hand side. That's done, and then finish. So now we will go back to global properties and we'll search for secure configurations. So go to global elements. If you see here also in the hierarchy of your a folder structure, you can see secure properties version 1.2.3 is already installed. It's added. And also you can go to POM file and just search Control F secure. And if you see Mule secure configuration property module is added. So like this you can check. So now go back to global elements, create, go to global configuration, and then here we'll search. Sorry, it will not be in global configuration. It will be in connector configuration. Secure. I think last time I have searched wrong, but I think it was not there because it was not searching. But if we search now secure, it is searching properly. Okay, so it is under connector configuration, not in the global configuration. So select secure properties configuration, and now here you have the option like the file and its key. So here we need to give like secure.properties, means this one is like the file. The files are you have already you defined. So it is like demo. Demo, is it hyphen or what? One moment. Main resources demo hyphen dev. So create it again. Connector configuration, secure properties, and here we will give like demo hyphen dollar env and it's like sorry env dot properties. So this is, I want to make the secure property. This file will be the secure. Okay, and now we need to define the key, secure property key. So that also I don't want to give text in a rough text format. What I will do for that, that also I will read it. So secure dot properties dot key. Okay, so this is pretty simple, everything. And now what you can do, you can define your algorithm in which algorithm you want to uh, encrypt it. And same way the mode, everything. So I'm taking everything as a default, just click on it. And now In the same way, like in environment property file, we were reading from the runtime configuration. You can read secure property keys also from there, but I will show you in another way. Environment property, env property, I have shown you already. We were providing in the runtime and configurations, but this time I will show you in another way to read this secure.properties.key through global property. Okay, so once it's saved, save it. And now what I will do, I will create one more global property that will read that property from here. Okay, so uh, let's say global property. So I will show you again, create in global configuration. There is global property. We have used configuration properties to define the which file we need to read, secure properties, which files we need to secure, and now global property to add the property that we want to read. Okay, so what we have give, I think I have give secure.properties.key. Secure.properties.key, and in that I can give any value like mules station. This will be our value to encrypt or decrypt the keys. We'll show you where we will use this key. I'll just copy this key in my notepad plus plus. Okay, so you also need to copy this somewhere. So when you will encrypt your keys, you need to define that value. So some in your project, you will get this key. You need to discuss with your team lead or your architect, like what key we need to define. Okay, so we defined this one, just saved it, and now go to your property file, and now we have this property. Okay, this we need to make it as secure property file. Okay, so what you have to do first, I will show you in the mule flow how we read this property. First, I will show you that. Earlier we were I will just remove this local property now. I don't want to use this configuration, this one, because now we are using secure properties. And just delete it. Just delete this local property. Okay. And now everything is from secure property. Go to this and you can do one thing, just right click on it and open with mule properties editor. So it will open it like this, table editor. Now click on the value, sorry, click on the key. This is the value, then encrypt it. It will ask the algorithm which algorithm, in which algorithm you want to encrypt it. So before showing this, I will just remind you one thing. When you were creating the this uh, the key and all the encryption algorithm. So there you have used AES algorithm. So that's why when you when you encrypt your property, encrypt it, then algorithm you have to use AES. And here the key will be mule station that we have defined. Okay, so with this key you will encrypt it. Okay, key size must be at least 16. Okay, so no problem. I will change it. MuleSoft station. I will, instead of mule station, I will give MuleSoft station. Still, it's not 16. I will make some changes. I will say station 1. Just add 1, so it's fine. So here the key should be minimum 16 characters, or it should be, because we were giving mule station, so it was less than 16 characters. So now like I'm giving mule station 1. So just click on OK and it encrypted. And now click OK and save it. So whatever, just go to text editor. So whatever between this square bracket, that is your key. Okay, so if you, this is the one simple example to declare your, means to encrypt your properties. I will show you one more method. If you don't want to encrypt your key within the Mule application, you want to use third-party application or like some other thing. So how you will add the property here. So first I will show you this simple one. So we have created a secure property HTTP port is a secure property now and it's encrypted with the AES algorithm. Go back to hello world, go to HTTP listener config, and now here we need to read that property. So how we will read that property now? So we need to use dollars. It's the same thing, but now secure colon colon like this. Secure colon colon will be before http dot port, before your key name. So it means it is referencing that it is a secure property. So if it is a secure property, what it will do, it will check the encryption key and it will check that encryption key. Based on that encryption key, it will decrypt the property and then it will read it properly. Okay, if you will not give secure, then you will get an error, right? So this is pretty simple. Like this, we read property in our normal component. Just click on OK. This is the to read secure property in the normal connectors and components, but how to read that same security secure property in the transform message. So this time earlier I was showing you through the mule debugger, but now I want to show you directly in the transform message how we will read that secure property in the transform message. So let's open this transform message. Here I will do one thing. I will just declare a JSON. E. No, sorry, it's hanged. Okay, stuck moment. Okay. Okay. So I will give a string like value, secure value, and here I will read it with the P function only, but this time I have to use secure colon colon HTTP dot port. Like this, you have to read it. It's a pretty simple one. What happened? Quick fixes P. Oh, okay, no problem. Sometimes it behaves like this. No issues. I will just uh, save it. Save. And then we will just go to debug configuration. And in debug configuration, this argument is already there. Environment, but we are not declaring that secure.properties.key because that we have already defined in our global element. So instead of defining at runtime, we can do like this also. So this is just debug it and we'll see what exactly will happen. It will read it as a secure property or not. After that, I will show you how we can de-encrypt through a third-party system, third-party tool, and from that tool, after encrypting the value, how we add it into our Mule application. So let's wait. Once it will deploy, we'll hit the API, and we are reading dev property only. So in our this HTTP localhost 8082, it's already there. So let's see. So in your real-time projects, it is really important. Once, for example, you have joined a project that is from not from the scratch, you joined in mid of the project and you are taking a KT, they will give you a code and they will ask you to go through once and understand what are the properties we defined, how we are declaring everything. Okay, that time you will get confused how we are reading this property. So I have covering all those things. If you will not get the encryption key in your project, so it means it will be in your DevOps scripts or it will be in your, if they are not using any CI/CD pipeline or no DevOps, then it will be during uh, in your what we say runtime manager properties. Okay, so you need to increment your key size. The minimum allowed key size is 16, but your key size is 11. No way. I have defined it. Let's go back. Oh, okay. Sorry, my bad. I've declared it. I encrypted with another value, but I give the key like this. So just change it. Okay. And now we'll run it again. I'm not running. I'm just showing you in the debug mode because if I will run it running directly, I will run the application. I cannot show you most of the things. Okay, so if I will run in debug mode, we'll apply the debug points, then it will be easy to show you so many things in the Mule debugger. So Mule debugger, if you see hover on Mule debugger, it is showing view message data. Okay, view message data by running your application in Mule debug mode. So you can check all the message data in Mule debugger if you are running in the debugger mode. And when you are taking any KT or you are understanding any API, always run it successfully first time. It will deploy down successfully first time, then run it in the debug mode and try to understand what are the payloads are coming, what is the transforming happening, what are the variables are setting after each component or after each event. So what is happening so that you can understand easily when you run your application in the debug mode. So when I joined my first project, it was from the scratch, but when I joined another project, it was from the mid. So I have done all means I have created, I created my understanding like this by deploying the API in the debug mode. So it's very easy to understand your API. So now it's deployed. Now we will hit the application and we'll see 808 with the 8082 that is in the dev property file, and it is the secure one now. So click on it. And now if you see, it's reading the property. Now it's reading the property in the HTTP connector like $secure then secures : HTTP dot port. But now I want to show you how we read it in the transform message. So I just remove this debug point. I'll just on the F6, I will just click on this button that will execute direct completely. So if you go, if you see secure value is 8082. So it means it is successfully reading our secure property that is secure HTTP dot port. It's don't worry about this. Sometimes it behave really, weird. Secure is not correctly spelled, not sure. So don't worry about that. Our API is successfully running and we are getting the response properly. So this is a simple one. I have shown you secure property. I have shown you the normal properties, how we read it, how we define it. Now I will show you one more thing. Second one. Every time we were running our property with the dev property file. Now I want to run it through the prod properties, means in the prod environment. So what you need to do, just right click on it, show in, go to like open with Mule property editor and click on the key, encrypt it with the same key and with the same algorithm AES and same key Mule station 1. I just copied from my notepad plus plus, will add here and just OK. And thus OK. Okay. So save this, just terminate the API. Now close. Now one more thing. Currently, if you see all the properties, I have opened this and I have opened the demo dot prod properties, demo dev properties. If I will click on it, I will decrypt it. It will decrypt directly. But if I will close this file, I will open again. Just close this. If I'll open again this file, open with property editor, go click on it. This time if I click on decrypt, it will ask me the algorithm and the key. Okay, so once you will add that, and if you don't close the property file, every time when you will click on it, you can easily decrypt and encrypt. But once you close this file and next time you will open it and you want to decrypt it directly, it won't show you that. It will ask you algorithm and key. So it is a kind of a security because you close the session and now again it is asking you add the key to open that property and decrypt it, right? So this is the most important thing. Sometimes developers get confused why it's happening. So this is kind of a studio feature or like a kind of a security, correct? So close it. Now what I will do, I have decrypted the properties file. This time I will run it with the prod one. Go to arguments, give it here prod. So you want to read the apply and debug. So this time you want to read prod properties and there is it was 7071. So I will give it like port is here 7071. That's it. Simple. So once it deploy, we will hit the API and we'll see the final output. So look, this time it's fixed. So this sometimes our Anypoint Studio behaves weirdly. So don't worry about that. It will always be not an error if everything is fine. So just run it and check. So if there will be really an error, then you will see in the console. Okay. So just go to the console and see if it is deployed, and then we'll move further. After that, I will show you how we decrypt the values using a third party tool. So MuleSoft earlier, there was so many, other tools companies were using, but now we have MuleSoft itself created a tool like secure property generator. There is a URL for that. You can create your property, you can secure your properties, you can give the algorithm there, and you can define the key and you can define the value, and then you can create easily, or you can like encrypt the value, and that value you can paste into your application. So I will show you that also. So once quickly it will deploy. Let's see what happens. Initializing. Okay, let's see. Okay, it's deployed. Now go to Postman, hit the API with 7071 port, and if you see, it's reading properly. At this time, it is reading our prod property file. Okay, so just execute complete flow and go to the Postman. If you see, this time secure value is 7071. So it is reading it is reading perfectly. So this is done. Now I will show you the tool. Go to this browser, and then just we need to um, copy the link. Means we need to search secure properties generator. So I think this one first. Yeah, this link. This I will paste into the chat. So if you want to use during the practice, so you can use this link. I've pasted into the chat. Now, if you see key, I will give you the earlier I was using Mule Station 1 algorithm AES state, that is everything is by default, same as in the connectors. Encryption operation encryption key, I'm giving this value is 7071 and generate. So this it is generating this key result this, and now if I want to decrypt, I will show you later. So this is generating our encryption and it means it is encrypting the value 7071 and its key is this. So now copy this generated value, go to your Anypoint Studio, global elements, just read this one and go to your property file. 7071 was in prod, and if you just copy this here, so if you see, it is the same value CS4Z 6MS7Q. It's a completely same value. So like that, you can create, or if you, for example, you were having earlier 7071. So what you need to do, you copied this value from the browser and then you can paste it here just inside the brackets and save it. That's done. Like this, you can create the property. Now, I will show you how to decrypt. So during the decrypt key, and the value will be our encryption key, and generate, it will give you the 7071. That is the encryption, means decrypted value. So it's a pretty easy. So two ways like this, you can create your secure properties, and there are a lot of algorithms, blowface, these, all these, and state. So it depends on your project. Okay, sometimes client decide we don't want default one, we want to go with blowfish. So you can change it accordingly and you can create the encrypted keys. That's a one. Now, one more thing is there that I want to show you. Okay. Thing is, when you deploy these, when you deploy this application on the Cloud Hub, right? So let me open the Cloud Hub. Okay, where is the Cloud Hub? This one, unbox. Okay, it's asking password. Hmm. So I'm using a trial account. So if you did not create the trial account, just go to any point. Just just search on Google and log in any point. Log in any point. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So this one don't have an account. Click on this, sign up, and you will get this type of account. So and here you will get two environments, sandbox and design. I will use the sandbox and just switch it. It was sandbox, but I'm showing you. So here two options, you can deploy manually or you can deploy through uh, because we have connected this. So just Anypoint platform, deploy to Cloud Hub, and we'll see it will open a pop-up. Let's see what happened. Anypoint platform, deploy to Cloud Hub. Let's see what it says. I don't know. It's not opening. No issues. Then what we will do, we'll just deploy our application. Hello world, just run it. Okay. And we will deploy our application manually. I've already covered this during our earlier classes, how we deploy the application in Cloud Hub. So manually or through Anypoint Studio, two ways I have shown you. So that is enough for MCD level 1. Okay, it will deploy and then we will take the jar file and we will add it in our runtime manager. So whatever secure properties we have used, I want to show you how it will show you at the runtime manager. I want to it will be as a plain text or it will be kind of a secure way. So I want to show you that by deploying the application on Cloud Hub. So it's deployed. Now just terminate it and just go to target, open in show in the system explorer. It will open a project directory and there you have inside the target folder, you have this hello world. Copy it. No, not copy it. Just go back to runtime manager and here deploy application. Here you can say hello world state station API. Okay, this. So it should be a unique name and then target it with this. Choose the file, upload the file, and file path is this. See, and then this file, jar file. We took it and nothing else to, everything will be as it is. Deploy application. Let's see what happens. Okay, I forgot to define the property mule uh, environment actually. So it should fail. It should give you error. env property is, it is not able to read. So when you do the manual deployment, every time in the settings of that API inside the properties, you need to define that. Okay. So let's see once it's deployed. That is also a interview question. Sometimes if you are on, if you are a fresher or you are holding 1 year experience in MuleSoft, so that time they ask two questions. What is the use of mule artifact.json and how you hide your plain text properties in runtime manager. So that is the things. I think I will not be able to cover for each today because it took so much time to explain this. But no issues. We'll cover it tomorrow. But guys, practice this at home. Change everything according to you, whatever you want to do. Do changes in your property file and all, and then see what is happening. So if you see here, the error, I will make it little bigger. Okay. If you see the error here, could not find the configuration property value key environment from properties provider because we did not provide that. And in the API, it's not there like secure.properties.key. So what we need to do, go to settings, go to properties, and here just define env and its value like dev. Okay, I will give, yeah, dev. So just add it and then apply changes. So it will load it and it will start it again. And this time it should deploy the application successfully. Let's see. Actually, this is a new account that created earlier. I was using different one that is got expired. So once that account is expired, there it will not work for anything. You need to create a new account for practice. So that's why today I created a new account for our class. So trial account is only for 30 days. You can create any number of trial accounts with the same email address, but username should be different. So guys, who are the people who are new in class today, I just want to say, if you want to do the certification in MuleSoft, so after means other than this training, you need to register yourself on MuleSoft for the self-paced training. You need to finish that training 100%. After finishing that training, you will get a certification voucher with 2 attempts. If you will, that is mandatory actually. That training is mandatory, self-paced training. Okay. So without that training, you will not get the vouchers. So you can't give the certification exam. So that is kind of mandatory. So if you finish that training and you get the certification, you will get some MuleSoft swags, like some t-shirt or coffee mugs like that. So that is really mandatory. Self-paced training is mandatory. My training is to give you the more, the the level more conceptual understanding that you ideally you don't get it through your self-paced training because there are some videos and all. So if you face issues in that, so that you means developer gets panic and they need some help. So that's why I started this program. But to get the voucher, you have to do that self-paced training. Let's see, it's deployed. Then we will hit the API. So it was dev. So for dev, I think it was 8082. 8082, right? And HTTP local host will not work. And this time, I want to show you first settings, properties. It's happening. It is taking some time. Okay, I think it will take time. So I will show you on my Notepad++. So if you see, first go to settings, go to properties. If you see, you are getting like you will get the or most whatever properties you are using, you'll get it like a plain text. For example, environment dev. But I don't want to show this this property like this. I want to show it something like star 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 instead of like plain text. I want to show it here star star. So what you will do for that? So in your Anypoint Studio, there is artifact.json file, mule artifact.json. So here what you need to define the property like one key secure properties. Okay, so which secure properties, whatever secure properties you will define in mule artifact.json, that will be go into your runtime manager with star star star. So how to define that? So that is we need to understand. So we need to create a key secure properties and those, that's it. And now here will be an array. Inside that array, okay, there will be comma after this comma, and here you will define all the properties that you want as http node port. This property, uh, what happening? Okay, sorry. Hmm. Like this, you have to define this property. So when you define this in the runtime manager, you will get the property as star star stars. You will not get it like normal A7071 or like that. Okay. And in the same way, you can define the property env, comma, number of properties you can define, but it should be in the double quotes env. Okay. So it will be as a star 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 in your runtime manager. So this like this, we can hide our plain text, the plain text format of the properties in runtime manager by defining secure properties in mule artifact.json. So this is mule artifact.json in your like I have API hello world station API. In that we have mule artifact.json. So this is the simple one. So the guys, this was all about how to you know uh, how to configure and how to use secure properties in Mule 4. So like this we define, and like this in data we read it like with the p function and with the prefix secure colon colon and the property name, and in normal components in like HTTP listener we use dollar curly brackets, and there also we use secure prefix. So this was all about how we read the property from property file, how we define our secure properties. So uh, its time is already over. Today our plan was to define the to explain the for each scope and parallel for each scope, but that we will cover tomorrow. So till then, you can practice whatever we have explained today. So we'll see you tomorrow.